From the Home Slice News Center, this is the Daily Slice for Tuesday, January 9th, 2024. I'm D. Ray Knight. This is what's going on. Rapid City police have arrested a juvenile in connection with a convenience store robbery. Police say the young man was apprehended after being spotted outside the establishment he allegedly held up the day before. Police say an employee recognized the teenager because he wore the same clothes the previous day. After an investigation, it was confirmed that he was indeed the one behind the robbery. The juvenile is now in custody and in the appropriate legal system. Polls show South Dakotans approve changing how we run our state primaries. Amy Rose has more.
Nearly half of registered voters support changing the way primary elections are conducted in South Dakota, but many others remain undecided, according to a statewide poll co-sponsored by South Dakota Newswatch. The survey of 500 registered voters showed that 49.4% of respondents support a proposed constitutional amendment to establish top 2 open primaries for governor, Congress, and state legislative and county races. The poll showed that 34% oppose the measure. That leaves 16.6% undecided, which open primary advocates see as an opportunity to sell their vision to voters in the 10 months leading up to the November 2024 election, assuming the measure makes the ballot.
The issue seems simple. What is a legislative conflict of interest? The answer, as evidenced by arguments from the South Dakota Attorney General and legal counsel for the governor and the legislature, is anything but simple. Yesterday, the South Dakota Supreme Court heard oral arguments on what a legislative conflict is. They also heard arguments on what the state constitution says a conflict is and how to resolve over 100 years of South Dakota Supreme Court decisions and Attorney General opinions on the matter. The hearing lasted over 70 minutes. The court will issue a written opinion later. In news from the nation and the world, an Israeli drone strike hit a car Tuesday morning in southern Lebanon, killing 3 people inside it. The strike, about 6 miles from the border with Israel, came a day after a similar attack killed a commander with the militant Hezbollah group. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is on an urgent mission aimed at primarily preventing the Israeli-Hamas conflict from spreading into a regional war. He said Monday that Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, and Turkey would consider participating in a post-conflict reconstruction and governance of Gaza. The United Nations Humanitarian Office says the intensifying Israeli offensive in central and southern Gaza has had devastating consequences. Former President Trump is going to appear in court today. Amy Rose has more.
Donald Trump is set to return for the first time in months to the federal courthouse in Washington, D.C. An appeals court is hearing arguments on whether the Republican former president is immune from prosecution on charges he plotted to overturn the results of the 2020 election he lost to Democrat Joe Biden. The outcome of Tuesday's arguments carries enormous ramifications for the landmark criminal case against Trump and for the broader and legally untested question of whether an ex-president can be prosecuted for acts committed in the White House. It'll also likely set the stage for further appeals before the Supreme Court, which recently declined a request to weigh in, but could get involved later.
A moon landing attempt by a private U.S. company appears doomed because of a fuel leak on the newly launched spacecraft. Astrobotic technology managed to orient the lander towards the sun Monday so its solar panel could capture sunlight and charge its onboard battery. The propulsion system problem was reported hours after a successful liftoff from Florida. Astrobotic was aiming to be the first private company to successfully land on the moon, something only 4 countries had accomplished. A second lander from a Houston company is due to be launched next month. NASA gave the companies millions to build landers and make deliveries to the moon. Your weather forecast from the Home Slice Weather Center. Partly cloudy and 38. Low tonight, 28. And that was your Daily Slice for Tuesday, January 9th, 2024. The Daily Slice is a production of Home Slice Media Group, hosted by D. Ray Knight with Amy Rose. Executive producer Mark Houston. Engineered by Chris Jaquess. I'm D. Ray Knight. Have a great day.